I'm going to show you how to morph from one shape to another. So the first thing I'm going to do is just create a rectangle. Let's make sure that's centered, aligned in the middle. Like I said, if a line isn't there, just come into Window, Align, and then you've got the Align options here, so you can align it to the center. Next thing I'm going to do is create just a different shape. So I'm going to go with maybe a star. This could be any shape. So let's just scale that up. You'll notice that I've made it into the wrong shape layer, so I'm just going to undo that. So that was because I had the shape layer 1 selected, so you want to make sure you've got nothing selected before you make your next tool. So I'm going to hover this over and just scale it roughly to the same size. And then you can align it in the middle as well, just so they're overlapping. Next thing we're going to do is come into each of the paths of the shape. So we're going to come to Polystar path first, right click, convert to Bezier path, rectangle path, convert to Bezier path. Okay, so now we're going to decide which we're going to morph to what. So I'm going to morph the star to the rectangle. So what I'm going to do is grab the path. So I'm going to keyframe both paths. So let's keyframe the paths. And I'm going to copy. So I'm going to copy the rectangle. Just come across a few frames, paste it on the path there. So you can see that we've got a morph going on there, so we just need to hide our layer there. We've got a nice little morph going on there. Just going to press N on the keyboard to shorten the timeline there. This is going over quite a slow amount of frames, so let's just speed this up. Let's bring it to about half a second and just shorten the timeline again there. Okay, this is quite a simple little morph there, so let's just move that there. How can we make this more interesting? So let's add a bit of rotation to it. So if I wanted to rotate this, I'm going to have to come into the transform polystar, and I'll come to the first keyframe. Excuse me. And I can just maybe keyframe the rotation there, and maybe just rotate it, say 90 degrees. We can not only can we do one, we can do it straight to another as well. So let's go for polystar again. Just make sure we're not clicked on anything. This time we can come into the polystar and change how many points we've got. So let's take a look. Polystar path. So we just want to change the point. So let's change it to 3. So we make a triangle. Just center that there. Okay, so same again. So let's polystar path, convert to Bezier path. And then what we're going to do is set keyframe on the path, copy that keyframe, and same as we did before, we're going to paste it onto there, on the path. Okay, we can see it goes off a bit weird there, so we're going to need to fix that. Okay, so we can hide away that one now. So we're just left with this. So let's come down to the position. Keyframe the position there. Bring it back to the middle. And it looks like we're going to need to change the rotation as well. It's about 120 there. We can get this to hold for a few frames by just copying middle keyframes and then just extending it a bit, rather than it morphing straight away, so we'll get a bit of time extra. Extend this even more. There we go. That's a simple way to morph two shapes together. Also do this with a file from Illustrator. So let's bring in an Illustrator vector file. And we'll just scale that up a bit. Again, we'll go through the same steps as before. And we'll just make sure that star is in the center. You might just want to make sure the pivot point is in the center. And we'll come to the path, right click, convert to Bezier path. And then we'll bring in our Illustrator file and just place that in the middle. And I'm just going to quickly change the color in a second. We can't actually morph an Illustrator vector file, so what we need to do, we need to convert it to a shape. So we right click on it, come to create shapes from vector layer. This now creates an extra layer now and hides the Illustrator file, so you can actually delete the Illustrator file because we don't need that anymore. Now let's just rename these. So, okay, just so we don't get confused later on. And start. Okay, so I'm going to change the color of the rocket file there because I want it to be the same color. And let's just go through the same process. So we're going to go for the path. So let's just keyframe that path and then we'll copy that keyframe. We'll come to the rocket. Slightly different folder structure, but again, we'll come to path. Keyframe the path there, and we'll go forward a few frames and paste the star keyframe. So let's just scrub through there. So we've got the rocket turned into a star, so we need to fix a few things here. So I want to keep the original star there for a guide for now. So what we can do is come down to the rocket transform, and let's just keyframe position and scale. And we'll go to the last keyframe, and what we can do now is hover over. This doesn't have to be exactly the right size. For example, that's going to be fine, I think. Okay, now let's hide the original star and see what we've got. There we go. Let's let that play through. there you have. So it could be like maybe a logo or something like that that you want to morph into like a generic shape or something. Or it can be two Illustrator files could morph into another one. And that's how you do that. So again, we could maybe change it to easy ease. You might decide you want it to be the opposite. So just switch the keyframes around. So you want to start from a star to a rocket and vice versa.